You open your email on a Tuesday morning, and there it is. A notice from your loan servicer telling you that the repayment plan you have been on, the one called the Saving on a Valuable Education Plan, known as SAVE, is ending, and you have 90 days to choose a new one. You click through expecting a simple list of options, but instead you are looking at plan names you have never compared, payment estimates that seem to depend on numbers you are not sure are current, and no clear signal about which choices could quietly undo years of progress you have already banked. I'm Sam from Simply Money, and I've spent an unhealthy amount of time studying why borrowers who are trying to make the right choice still end up in the wrong repayment plan. If you are someone staring at that 90-day window right now and feeling like the stakes are higher than the guidance you have been given, subscribe, because that gap between real decisions and vague advice is exactly what this channel is built to close. The reason this feels harder than it should is that most people treat it like a payment shopping decision when it is actually a sequencing problem. Before you can meaningfully compare what each plan costs per month, you need to confirm what type of loans you have, because some older loans do not qualify for certain plans without consolidation first, and you need to know whether you are on a forgiveness track, because if you have been building toward the 120 qualifying payments required for public service loan forgiveness, the wrong plan choice does not just change your monthly bill. It can stop your credit from accumulating entirely. The most important first move is not finding the lowest number. It is verifying your loan type and your forgiveness path, because those two checks can shrink or completely change the menu before you ever start comparing. The checkpoint most people skip is loan type, and skipping it can lock you out of the plan you actually want. Before you compare a single monthly payment estimate, log into your federal student aid account and check whether your loans are direct loans or older loans from the federal program that existed before 2010. That matters because the menu of repayment plans you can choose from depends entirely on what kind of loan you have. A borrower with older program loans might log in expecting to pick the new income-based option and discover that those loans are not eligible without being consolidated into a direct loan first. And consolidation is not a neutral move. It requires a separate application, and in some cases, it can reset a forgiveness counter you have been building for years. If you do not consolidate when you need to, those older loans may be stuck on a completely different set of options. That is why loan type is not a fine print detail. It is the gate that determines what doors are even open. The second checkpoint is forgiveness path, and this is the one where a wrong move can cost the most. Picture a hospital nurse who has been on the Saving on a Valuable Education Plan, works for a qualifying public employer, and has been steadily building toward the 120 qualifying payments required for public service loan forgiveness. That nurse might be 80 payments in, roughly 6.5 years of qualifying work already banked. If that nurse picks a new plan without confirming that it counts toward forgiveness, those future payments could stop accumulating toward the finish line. And the math on that mistake is not small. If forgiveness would have wiped out $40,000 in remaining balance, choosing a different plan to save $50 a month is trading a $40,000 benefit for $600 a year of short-term relief. So before you compare monthly numbers, check whether you are on a forgiveness track, how many qualifying payments you have made, and whether the plan you are considering continues to count. Now here is the timing piece that reframes how urgently you should be moving. This is not an open-ended pause. Starting this summer, servicers will begin contacting borrowers to exit that plan and enroll in a legal repayment plan within 90 days. But do not rush just because the calendar flips. Your real deadline comes from the notice your servicer sends you, and the formal 90-day window starts when that notification is delivered, not when the policy date arrives. You can contact your servicer before the notice comes if you want to get ahead of it, but the clock is tied to the communication. That distinction gives you time to do the work, but only if you use it. If your contact information is outdated, the notice could arrive and the window could start ticking before you even know about it. And waiting is only safe if your loan records, your forgiveness status, and your comparison work are already in order before the notice lands, because 90 days spent starting from scratch feels much shorter than 90 days spent finishing a plan you already mapped out. Once loan type and forgiveness status are confirmed, the next step is gathering the inputs that actually determine what your new payment would be. If you are comparing the new income-based option, your income and household size are not side notes. They are the core variables. The new plan that is scheduled to launch alongside this transition calculates your monthly amount based on what you earn and how many dependents you have. If your income changed in the past year, or if your household size shifted, any estimate you saw previously may not reflect what you would actually owe. One easy way to reduce the paperwork friction is to let the application pull your tax information directly from the federal tax agency, which means fewer forms and less chance of a data entry error, delaying your enrollment during a window that already has a hard endpoint. The new plan is also being positioned as less punishing on interest for borrowers who pay on time, but that benefit depends on consistent payment behavior, not just enrollment. So understanding what your actual payment would be matters before you decide whether the interest structure is worth it. Here is where a lot of viewers need to rethink their first instinct. You might be thinking, I just need the smallest monthly bill and everything else is overthinking it. That makes sense, especially when only about 63% of adults say they could cover a $400 surprise from cash or something close to it. Cash is tight, and a lower payment feels like the safest move. But chasing the lowest bill without checking the rest of the picture can cost far more than it saves. A plan with a lower monthly payment might stretch your repayment timeline by years, which means more total interest over the life of the loan. A plan that looks cheaper month to month might not qualify for the forgiveness track you are already on, and giving up tens of thousands of dollars in future forgiveness to save a small monthly amount is one of the most expensive quiet mistakes a borrower can make. Before you chase the smallest payment, make sure the plan even works for your loan type and your forgiveness goal. This is exactly why you should not compare plans from memory or from a headline number. The Federal Student Aid website has a loan simulator that lets you put up to 3 repayment plans side by side, showing estimated monthly payment, total interest, total amount paid, payoff date, and forgiveness amount where applicable. That same tool can also warn you when a forgiveness strategy does not work for your loan type, and it can flag when consolidation would be needed before certain plans or programs become available. Running that comparison with your real numbers before you select anything is the difference between guessing and deciding. So here is how the 4 steps play out depending on where you are right now. If you are on a public service forgiveness track, your first and most important move is confirming that every plan you are considering still qualifies for that program, because nothing else matters if the forgiveness path breaks. If you're not on a forgiveness track and your loans are all direct loans, you have the widest menu and your main job is running the simulator with current income and household size to find the best balance of manageable payment and reasonable total cost. If you have older loans from the pre-2010 program in the mix, your first step is figuring out whether consolidation is required for the plan you want, what it would do to any existing progress, and whether the trade-off is worth it. If your income recently dropped or your household grew, update those numbers before you run any comparison, because the new plan calculates your payment from those inputs, and an outdated figure could make a viable option look unaffordable or make an expensive option look cheap. And if you are not sure about any of these, reach out to your servicer before the notice arrives rather than after, because the 90-day clock starts whether you are ready or not. The decision rule is this: do not start by comparing monthly payments. Start by checking whether the plans you are considering are even available for your loan type and compatible with your forgiveness goal. Those 2 filters will often shrink the list before you ever need to look at a dollar amount, and they protect the progress you have already made instead of putting it at risk for a lower bill. You are not behind because this decision feels complicated. You are dealing with a system that buries the decision order under a pile of plan names and payment estimates. Once you know the sequence, the choice gets smaller and the stakes get a lot more manageable. In the next video, I want to walk through exactly how the new income-based option calculates your payment, so you can see whether the number it gives you is actually better than what the other plans would offer for your specific situation.